All right, all right, all right. Thank you for joining me today. Today is the last day of July. This whole month has blown by. Absolutely positively blown by. And if you blink, you missed your summer and you're back in school season for those that have kids in school or are in school themselves. I have a packed show for you guys today, and I am so thankful and glad that you guys can be here. And I'm glad I can be here to bring you the news that you've been waiting for. Right out the gate, we're going to open up with more maladministration from the lower courts, the inferior courts, and it's dealing with abortion of all things. And I'm so sick and tired of these activist judges. I don't know about you, but I think that they are overstepping their bounds. And even after the ruling that they gave, saying that no more universal injunctions to stop what's being done by the executive, that you need to bring forth a actual case with an actual plaintiff in order to be able to put forth any form of injunction. They're just bypassing that and doing what they want to do. And if you guys were watching previously in an episode, I even stated that they're going to find some loophole, and it seems that they have found some loophole. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals just overturned Trump's ruling that cut taxpayers' funding for Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers under the Title X program. Yeah, that's right. We're back to footing the bill for abortions. And I remember debating a long time ago on other platforms that the government pays for abortion. And I was told, no, they don't. You got to prove it. So I proved it, and they said that, oh, that's just Medicaid. Well, Medicaid is funded by state and federal programs. Or people, the taxpayers. So therefore, if it's not at the state level, which government, i.e. government, it's also at the federal level, because the federal government gives money and to the states, and then the state divvies up that money and gives it out to those that need it. The problem herein lies is that why are we as taxpayers paying for your abortion, for your night of fun? You made the beast with two backs. You had fun. You allowed yourself to experience pleasure, and in some way, shape, or form, you don't want to deal with your repercussions and your accountability. You don't want to deal with it, so you just abort the baby. And we're back to having to foot it as taxpayers. The ACA, Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, is what brought that on in the first place. And they were funding it in other ways prior to that. But it's just common sense, guys. It's not healthcare. And the court sides with Planned Parenthood, that the Trump administration is out of pocket, in their words. And the Trump administration said, you want to offer abortions, fine, just don't have the taxpayers pay for it. And honestly, that's fair. That's taxation without representation if you force us to do it. Didn't we throw the tea in the harbor over a 3% tax? Now you're telling us that we have to foot the bill. And if anybody knows anything at all about Medicaid, it takes at least 12 work hours per working person to pay for one person using Medicaid. Just one. So how did we get back to this? Because apparently expecting a little financial separation between murder clinics and the federal funds is now oppressive. The courts are now enforcers of the abortion lobby. Your courts are killing babies. So giving you a little breakdown, Title X was created to help low-income families with birth control and reproductive education. Not doing a very good job, considering that these people are out here banging like rabbits and reproducing babies, killing their babies. Because I can't afford another child. Well, if you can't afford another child, at least be able to afford a condom or birth control. I mean, what are we doing here? It was never meant to be a bankroll for the Planned Parenthood. That's not what Title X was for. Yet under Biden, and now with this new ruling, the money is flowing right back into their pockets like a hydrant. It's insane. It's insane. No money for baby formula, but millions of dollars for baby disposal. And it's really not even disposing of babies. You know, they're taking these parts and using these parts for science to advance their therapies, as you can call it. And why does this matter? You're struggling with inflation. Your kids in schools are broken. Gas is climbing out the wazoo, but Washington is making it a plain and simple, straight, direct movement for you to be able to abort your babies on your dime as a taxpayer. This isn't policy. This is war on moral boundaries. They're buying votes with blood of aborted babies. It's a pro-abortion on demand policy. It essentially pushed through with lawfare by these judges, these inferior judges. Inferior, meaning that they're superseding the rulings of the Supreme Court, these federal courts of appeals. And I understand that most of you don't understand how the Constitution works, but Article 1 courts created by Congress are inferior to Article 3 courts, which is the Supreme Court, which was also created by Congress, but the Supreme Court was supposed to be a balancing of powers. So ask yourself, why is Planned Parenthood treated like a sacred cow, while veterans and the working families get scraps? You know, they're scraping by the bottom of the barrel. Why is that? It's time to wake up. This isn't healthcare. It's about power. It's about control. It's about money. It's about silencing anyone who believes life begins at conception. Then that scalpel hits the womb, or they reach up in there with the clothes hanger, or whatever way they do it, suck them out, chemically do it. It's not right. And I would implore anyone that has never had an abortion to go watch a full-length abortion and watch what happens inside the womb. I'm so sick and tired of this lawfare through the courts. I'm sick and tired of it. I have inferior court fatigue because they're using their power, which they don't have, to throw around injunctions to stop legal, lawful changes through the executive branch. It makes no sense. So I have an idea. Congress, how about we start codifying some of these EOs and making them law, and then watch the court try to squander that away? Maybe. If it's all possible, I think you should do it. In other news, still on the health kick, RFK is Maha. Right? Yes. RFK is Maha. Make America healthy again. And what has happened is the HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just officially accepted a recommendation from his newly stacked vaccine advisory panel to remove thimerosal, or thimerosal, however you pronounce it. I think it's thimerosal, which is a mercury-based preservative from all influenza vaccines. If anyone knows what mercury does to the body, it's not good, especially for women, more so pregnant women. It's not good. It can cause women to have all sorts of debilitating effects, adverse effects from taking anything like this. And, you know, they're really, really big on giving that good old influenza vaccine every single year because that disease mutates. It's viral, but it mutates every single year, every single time it's in a different person. Why do you keep going to go get this? This isn't 1930 anymore. It's July 31st, 2025. And the government just accepted it's this across the board. This is a beautiful thing. It's beautiful. It's either a panel or it's politics. It's either your health or their wealth. And it's nice to see someone is actually standing up against Big Pharma. And that's what Robert F. Kennedy is doing. RFK Jr. is absolutely on a roll with getting the food better, getting the dyes out of the food. And now he's full-blown attacking these vaccines. And why you need a preservative for a vaccine is beyond me. He replaced all 17 members of the CDC Advisory Committee on Immunization which he received hella flack for. It's crazy. And the ACIP, which is that advisory board, with vaccine skeptics. That's what they're calling it. He's replaced them with vaccine skeptics. That's what the left is running with. And they think that Robert Malone and Martin Kolderoff are quacks as well. This is a newly appointed panel, and they voted 5-1 to remove the thimerosal from the vaccines, and I'm here for it. And it's also being removed from children's vaccines as well, because it's in there as well. Again, preservatives are meant to preserve. Why does a vaccine, which is meant to be given and then pushed through the body, need preservatives? And a bunch of critics are out here saying, "Oh, this is skepticism, not science." Science is a practice. Science changes every day. How about we try this, and if it doesn't work, you can go back to your preservatives. But people are getting sicker and sicker by the year, and then being held up by Big Pharma's medication to stay alive as cash cows. This is not science. This is them making money off of your declining bodies by keeping you alive medically. I'm here for what RFK is doing. And if you're here for it, bravo, join the team. If you're not here for it, continue to stay sick. And it's the left that always complains about these big corporations, anti-corporations, anti-billionaires. Are you kidding me? Do you realize that Big Pharma is the largest corporation of billionaires? They're all in the same team. They're all trying to do the same thing and keep you drugged up and drugged out so they can make as much money off of you as possible. Yet you keep promoting Big Pharma and telling us on the opposite side that we're crazy. We don't believe in science. I believe in science. All those vaccines that you take and all those medications you take came from nature and then were modified by mankind synthetically to be mass produced. And then they demonize people that, do holistic healing and holistic healthcare. That you got your medications from nature. Didn't you know the aspirin has dandelion root in it? One of the, benefits of dandelions and dandelion roots are heart health. Yet Roundup, the owner of Roundup, owns aspirin or Bayer aspirin or one of those. Isn't that crazy? Kill the dandelion, yet aspirin has dandelion in it. They want you to kill your dandelion while they harvest dandelion and put it in medication and feed it to you. I digress, though. Don't want to get too deep into the weeds, do we? In other news, nuclear waste to cancer hope. Deep in Tennessee, Oak Ridge, once the birthplace of the atomic bomb, a government contractor is transforming Cold War uranium waste into life-saving weapons against cancer. I know we just came off of that, but this is actually potentially a good thing. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know yet. It seems like it would be common sense work. And according to the Department of Energy, Isotech has extracted more than 15 grams of ultra-rare isotopes, thorium, kind of like thermosil, but thorium 229, which is a boosting agent to the world's supply for fighting cancer, up to 1,500%. It's crazy. So this project is turning toxic legacy into treatment, apparently. And I wholeheartedly believe they've had the cure for cancer for a long time. Not to be too conspiratorial on you. I just believe they make more money off of giving you treatments instead of giving you cures. Isotech is working under the DOE, Department of Energy's cleanup program, and they're processing uranium-233, which is stored at Oak Ridge National Lab, through the Thorium Express project. They recovered thorium-229 before disposing of the nuclear material. It could be great. It could be good. It could be a flop. It could just be a Band-Aid. We don't know yet. And until recently, only 1 gram of thorium-229 existed outside of Oak Ridge. Now there's 15 grams with a goal of 40 grams by the projected end of this project. So they're essentially taking this medication, because they're going to turn it into a medication to give you as treatment. And apparently through testing on, rats, where are you at, PETA? They found that it's able to actually take out cancer without doing irreparable damage to the body. So we'll see. TheraPower now produces AC225 at a commercial scale, supplying multiple pharmaceutical partners weekly for their testing. And this is apparently groundbreaking clinical trials for them, and they're finding all of these good things that are coming from this. It's basically a radioactive renaissance. But I'm interested in knowing what you guys actually think about this, because after just jumping on Big Pharma's neck and keeping them down, I don't know how I feel about this. I really don't know. So some takeaways from this whole move here is that the DOE's Thorium Express project has increased the thorium-229 supply from 1 gram to 15 grams, targeting the 40 gram by the project's completion. And then you have thorium-229 enabling AC225 production, which is essentially targeting alpha cancer therapy. In closing on this particular topic, the real American story here is that the Manhattan Project fallout is now allegedly curing a once incurable disease. And like I said, we will see how this goes. These projects usually take 10 to 15 years before they can really hit the shelves, but I'm willing to bank that Big Pharma has their foot knee deep in the butt of this so that they can make their money. And they're going to sell this for millions of dollars to medical companies, and then those companies are going to use insurances to suck the money out of the government, which comes out of your pocket anyway. So we'll see. We'll see. And I also see that Trump is doing things like this. No Taiwanese love. And we're going to tackle this just a little bit, and we're going to jump right to it. The Taiwanese president, Lai Ching-te, say that 10 times fast, has pushed back a planned a layover in the U.S., reportedly because Trump's request. They're essentially telling us that Trump said he couldn't have a layover here, and he ended up delaying the trip of the president of Taiwan. So this is weird to me, because Taiwan is essentially giving us all of these things with the, assembly lines and the factories for these chips. Biden's little chip act that he passed. Trump got 2 facilities built faster than what they got the 1 facility built under the CHIPS Act, and had Taiwan strike this big deal with the United States and moving all of these Taiwanese people over here because China is, going after Taiwan and trying to hold back materials for Taiwan making these chips. Trump's like, hey, come over here. We won't do that to you. But somehow, some way, you're stopping the president from having a layover here. Why, Trump? And the only thing I can honestly think of is that Trump is seeking a trade deal with Xi Jinping of China, and a high-profile Taiwanese visit in August could derail it. What does that have to do with the tea in China, Trump? Beijing would leverage this as a provocation of not doing the deal with Trump. Is this deal really that important? The man flies, stops here, then flies out. Now, Taiwan did cite their domestic concerns, whether response or scheduling would inhibit them from doing what they needed to do in the location they need to. Honestly, this is one of the dumbest moves I've seen Trump make yet as far as making deals, is appeasing China. For what? China has deflated their currency, or at least told us that their currency isn't worth what it is. They've undermined it, the United States, through patent laws. Yes, they don't have patent laws there, so they can take something from one place and go make it cheaper in another place and then sell it back to you 15 times because instead of you going to go buy the expensive thing, you buy the cheap thing 15 times and spend more money on the cheap thing than you would on the expensive thing one time. I don't like this. I don't like this. I think you're being dumb here, Trump. And I know people always say, "Oh, you guys never hold Trump accountable." Yes, I'm holding him accountable. This is stupid. Taiwan benefits us more than China. You're willing to put 150% tariff on China to get them to bend the knee, and now you're telling the Taiwanese president that he can't land here for a layover. It's weird. It's really weird. I find this to be strange. It's perplexing. They are our friends, essentially. And you even told Taiwan when you made the deal with the whole chips thing and building the new factories here that, hey, because of the persecution you're facing from China, come over here, we'll help you out. You weren't worried about a deal with China then, Trump. What's going on? Are your priorities messed up? I understand that you need to prioritize America's interests, including trade, but limit foreign policy headaches over symbolic visits. He's not even staying here. He's stopping here temporarily to go somewhere else. Here's the kicker, though. What message does this send to Taiwan? That will stop anything you want to do because we got to deal with someone else? If the U.S. dials back high-level engagement when China objects, does that embody America first? Or does it say to you that China, grabs us by the balls when they don't like something and say, if you do this, we won't do a deal with you? How are you letting Beijing leverage this against us? What's the trade-off long-term, though? It's a strategic restraint. Maybe calculated, sidelining maybe. Quite possibly this is Trump's team wanting to turn down the temperature a little bit between the feud and the trade war with China. Maybe. But will allies end up questioning Washington's resolve and their leadership by doing this? Will Taipei feel they must reply on themselves or hedge towards, neutrality? I honestly don't know. This is a big move. It doesn't seem like it's a big move on Trump's part, but honestly, I am so sick and tired of taking the knee to other countries. If we're going to be America first, we need to be America first at all junctures. It doesn't need to be America first only when it benefits America. It needs to be America first even when it doesn't benefit us. And that includes trade deals with China. China needs us. They're the largest exporter in the world, but we're the largest importer of the world. We can leverage that at every turn and every stop to put a stop to China's big moves. There's not enough countries to go around to make up the difference in the loss that China would take if they cut us out. It's not. So I mark this on Trump's report card as a D. You didn't pass on this. I honestly think that trying to appease a giant and hurt your ally, even if it's not something that's big and hurting your ally, is crazy. I would never put someone else above my allies. You sure as hell don't do it for Israel. Or do you? We'll see. We'll see. In other news, we have Operation Grayskull. Finally, we're taking down pedophiles. We are finally doing it. In mid-July 2025, the Department of Justice and the FBI launched Operation Grayskull, striking at the heart of 4 of the darkest corners of the web. Yes, we're on the dark net. The itsy-bitsy spider had some light shined on it. Now, these child abuse networks with over 120,000 users and millions of files has been taken down. Now, how far it went, let me tell you. There weren't casual browsers of the internet here. They were organized individuals, as we'll call them. Sites featured hierarchical leadership. Staff rulings and promotions and systems and subsystems of grooming manuals were found. on this little bust here. And all the disturbing content you can think of. Millions of gigabytes of disturbing child pornography, child endangerment, child grooming, having children do heinous things to themselves, having children kill themselves at the threat of leaking this information. 120,000 members strong. One site operator was dubbed Boss and fought the FBI with tactical restraint using all of the hackers you can muster up, because this is a lucrative business. They can afford to pay people big dollars to fight back the FBI. But they finally got it. They got it. It's justice on display, guys. Thomas Peter, I'm not even going to say his last name, but I'll spell it for you. Katsampes. I'm not going to butcher that. Of Minnesota received a 250-month sentence. That's 20 plus years for those that can't count. Got you covered. Plus lifetime supervision. Why it was only 20 years is beyond me, but whatever. Hopefully this guy's old enough that he passes away in prison, and no parole, because if the government deals out a parole deal, something is wrong. Even if it's at the behest of finding someone else worse than him, don't do it. It's not worth it. So he's also got to pay out $23,000 in restitution. You can never give out restitution to the victims of this type of behavior, man. Keith David McIntosh from Michigan, operating one of the primary sites, got 55 years starting December 2024, back in December 2024. And he was a repeat offender. Now he's stuck behind bars. No deals for him either. Stop making deals with diabolical, dastardly people like this, please. Patrick Harrison, also from Michigan, was sentenced to almost 6 years in total. Not enough. 18 individuals are convicted across multiple sites and multiple states. Their combined prison sentence terms are exceeding 300 years. Why we're giving them any terms at all? Shoot them. Put them up on the wall. Mow them down. Because these kids that are still living, that have gone through this trauma, there's not enough therapizing, yes, I said therapizing, that can go around to help these kids. Only God can help these kids. But we can take this as a little win, a little one. And these names are falling out of these 120,000 members. We got the bosses, but we need to go after the other ones too. Guys, this isn't virtue signaling. It's actually law enforcement doing what it's supposed to do. The left is going to say, oh, this, that, and the third. Just like they say with the whole Epstein thing. They want the list because they think Trump's on the list, not because it's actually going to get the people that were actually doing heinous things. We funded this machine, and it was delivered. No debates, no delays, just relentless pursuit of immoral depravity, and now finally some punishment. It also shows that the bipartisan priorities like Project Safe Childhood, which is a new project that they put into place under Trump in his first term and now re-implemented in his second term, which was taken down by Biden in his term, is work on the government's behalf and focusing on actually saving children and getting rid of the red tape. Why is there red tape on saving children? Honestly, I think we should legalize taking out pedophiles. It would make the world a safer place. And if pedophiles have the scare of potentially losing their life behind their sick and disgusting actions, they might not do it. Maybe, who knows? It's the sentences are what get me. I don't think these people should be getting sentences. I think these people should be taken out permanently. Why do we let these people sit in prison and get funded by taxpayers? Operation Grayskull was initiated, in 2020 under Trump. And it's actually starting to show fruit now. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I just think that more could be done. And Kash Patel called it one of the most significant strikes ever made against online child exploitation. But more can be done, Kash Patel. A lot more. A lot more. That's just my opinion. It really is. I just think we could do more for our kids. And parents need to do more with watching their kids' online activity as well, especially with that whole Roblox dating thing. These people are no different than terrorists to me. And what we do in the United States, we hunt down terrorists. We hunt down terrorists. That's the one thing that George Bush did right. Out of all of his many blunders and failures, he did it right with hunting down terrorists. And it continues. It's a slow pullback, but swift justice with this one right here. Despite drawing down the recent U.S. forces in Syria from over 2,000 to a fewer than 1,000, CENTCOM just pulled off one of the most precise raids in years with this whole GWAT, global war on terror. They actually took out some senior leadership of ISIS. What is it? Dahai Zabwa or Zalba, who is one of the leaderships in ISIS, was taken out, and his two sons. So we're going to cut the head off of some more generational terrorism. I'm not even going to try to butcher these people's names. These people have horrible names, in my opinion. But they probably think our names are horrible too. It's just my opinion. But how it went down is it was not just a drone strike. It was involved in an actual raid, which was supported by an airdrop. And the forces from Kurdish led a Syrian Democratic forces to the new Syrian government, sealing the perimeter, making sure that these people don't get out. That's basically what went down. And then the drone strike did what it needed to do. 3 women and 3 children present were unhurt out of this. So bravo on not killing civilians in this situation. A drawdown doesn't mean disengagement. So when the government draws down, meaning to less their presence in an area, doesn't mean that they stop working. And sometimes smaller forces can do more work than bigger forces can. And they can be more strategic and more tactical, because when people see bigger forces moving, they know they can move in the opposite direction. So if they see smaller forces moving, they don't tend to shudder as much. And just weeks ago, the White House ordered the withdrawal of hundreds of troops. And this, I believe this was a part of a calculated shift to make sure these people let their guards down. And they did. They did. And this strategy seemed to have worked. We took out some evil people and their family. So we ain't got to worry about them coming back, because if you take one out and if you don't take all of them out, they tend to come back and try to fight back. You took my father, so now I'm going to come back and do things to you. And that ain't happening in this case. These boys are done, and their father's done, and we don't have to worry about that particular leadership anymore. So bravo to our boys. Bravo to the move, and bravo to keeping it silent to how you're going to move. And keeping in track with the Middle East, we have this. Diplomacy, I guess you could say. So Trump said that he was initially going to give aid to Gaza, which, again, Trump, that's not America first. And I understand you got to, keep your dignified look on the world stage, but the world doesn't like us. So F them, in short. On July 31st, that's today, Steve Witkoff, which is a part of President Trump's Middle East envoy, landed in Israel to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, hoping to revive a long-stalled ceasefire. Why we keep trying to get these people to ceasefire is beyond me. And throughout the 4 years under Biden, they gave like $2 billion in humanitarian aid to the crisis in Gaza. So if you don't totally know what's going on there, is the Hamas, the terrorist group Hamas, which got funding from the United States through USAID and NGOs, but I digress. That's not what this is about. Hamas was keeping hostages in Gaza and stopping all humanitarian aid from going in there. Yet under Biden's administration, they just kept pumping it into them. And in my opinion, they were just only feeding the beast. But this meeting with Mr. Witkoff was to put a truce on the table. It was an urgent meeting with Netanyahu and his visit to Gaza to aid sites alongside U.S. Ambassadors Mike Huckabee under mounting international pressure amid images of starving civilians. So they always do that. Like, they put these images of children up there with flies on their faces and blood, and they show some buildings around them that are all destroyed. And then you hear that Sarah McLachlan song, "In the Arms of an Angel," play. And for $1 a day, you can support. No, tired of supporting these people. As long as we have starving people in the United States, stop sending money and efforts to these people. As long as we have homeless people in the United States, stop sending money and efforts to these people. Nobody ever sends us money. Nobody's taking care of these homeless vets. Well, the United States, you should be taking care of your own. Yeah, you're right. We should. That means that we stop taking care of you. Now, I did applaud Trump some weeks ago for making efforts to build homes for homeless vets in West LA. But, bro, to even think about giving these people aid just because you want to look good on the world stage is crazy to me. Who cares? I know it seems insensitive. If you have it, you need help. We have problems here. At least 154 Palestinians have reportedly died from famine. How many people in America die from starvation? How many people in America die from the cold, from heat, because they don't have a place to stay? Let the Middle East take care of the Middle East. If they want this to stop, Israel needs to back down. Hamas needs to back down. Or just salt flat both of them. Or get rid of the terrorist group that's in government in Palestine. You could do that. That would make a big change. Or just tell Israel to stop. Israel's not always a victim. Sometimes they're their aggressor. So hostages or humanitarian aid is not our problem. It's not America first. And again, it's insensitive sounding, but it's the truth. We have starving children here. We have dying children here. We have homeless children here. So why do we keep helping everywhere but here? And clearly putting all this aid over there is not working because the people are starving. So if you can figure it out, figure it out. But I don't want my tax money going towards helping anybody outside of America. So until we got no homeless here, or at least reduce the percentage greatly, until we have non-starving people here or reducing the percentage greatly, I don't care about the rest of the world. I don't. You're supposed to take care of your home first before you take care of someone else's. I see this as a weakness helping other nations. If the UN's got such a big issue with it, why doesn't the UN help? Why doesn't NATO help? But I will give Trump some kudos. He is truly the deal maker in chief. He does make good deals. Maybe he should make some good deals to stop supporting terrorists and Israel so much, but we're probably not going to get that. But I digress. So on July 27, 2025, the U.S. and the European Union agreed to a framework trade deal that ends weeks of brinkmanship. What began with threats of 30% tariffs on the EU has ended with 15% baseline tariffs and major concessions from Brussels. Finally, they faltered. Thank God. because I was tired of hearing about the EU and the US trade war. Now the leftists can shut up. And Trump has been doing a myriad of trade deals. You have the Philippines bending the knee and taking on a 19% tariff, whereas we get tariff-free stuff. That's amazing. Could it be that the Philippines don't want China floating around their islands? Maybe that's what made them do it. But this is the EU we're talking about. What was claimed and what was won, essentially. A new standard of 15% tariffs on most of the EU exports to the U.S., covering auto and pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, and a lot more. Zero tariffs on aircraft parts, agricultural goods, and generic drugs, and cultural and critical materials to the United States. So they get charged 15%, we get no percent on those particular things. It also maintains the 50% steel and aluminum tariffs, transitioning to the quotas later. Yes, we're winning. This is America first. We're winning. We're charging them and getting nothing back charged to us on certain things. We're finally winning. Instead of us pumping billions and trillions of dollars into everybody else and their mama, we're actually winning. And this is part of a larger shift. The EU committed to 600 billion in U.S. investments and 750 billion in energy purchases over 3 years. We are winning. This is America first. Now we should apply this to everything, especially Israel and the Middle East. Yeah. So stocks with the S&P hit record highs. NASDAQ followed suit. I thought the market was crashing. I thought Trump was going to send us into a depression greater than the Great Depression. No, he's not. He is the deal maker in chief. Flex on him, Trump. You get an A for this. Actually, you get an A+ for this. I am so happy to see America finally winning. These negotiations means that we have leverage. The deal wasn't free trade, it was fair trade, achieved by forceful negotiations. Better to extract value than beg. And we have been doing a lot of begging under other presidents. And this kind of statecraft is where tariffs aren't really threats, but tools for negotiation. FDR used these tariffs for negotiation. And it seems like Trump has taken a page from his book and is doing a fantastic job. This is why he is the deal maker in chief. Now, you know who's not a deal maker in chief? Bernie Sanders. Bombs, votes, and backlash. It became a moral showdown in the Senate. On July 30th, Senator Bernie Sanders forced a vote on 2 joint resolutions of disapproval aimed at blocking $675 million in bombs and 20,000 assault rifles. Why do they call them assault rifles is beyond me, but this is what he said. Assault rifles. They're machine guns, buddy. Headed to Israel. Despite the record Democrat support, both failed. Isn't it nice to have the majority? If you want to keep the majority, you need to go out and vote. Come midterms, you need to go vote. I'm going to say it one more time. You need to go vote. You also need to vote in your mayoral and your Senate and your Congress votes. You also need to vote in your states, because that's how you lose. It's not voting in your states, but voting for the federal. Vote for your state legislation. This is how we won this. And granted, it's money to Israel, it's funding to Israel, but we got to hold up our end of the deal with the Lend-Lease Act that we did. Both resolutions by the Democrats failed overwhelmingly. One by a 73-24 vote, the other by a 70-27 vote in the Senate. There's 100 senators, just so you guys know. Each state has 2. Half of the Senate Democrats sided with Sanders, but up to just enough of them didn't. And this is how we win. Keep voting properly for your legislators, and you will keep having wins. If you don't vote properly for your legislators, state and federal, you're going to have losses. Wisconsin is facing that right now. They've had a change in their Supreme Court, and they've had a change in their federal legislators, all because the Democrats saw an opportunity and they took it. But this is a win, watching the Democrats squander and squabble amongst themselves. I'm here for it. In closing on this particular subject here, action, not just votes. Moral outrage is real, but ultimately meaningless without follow through. If lawmakers vote conscience once, what changes the next time? Because they often vote their pockets, not their conscience. In our last segment for today, guys, I'm going to take a little bit of time on this, and I've held long on some of the other segments, but this is the one I've been waiting and frothing at the mouth and salivating to get at. So bear with me on this one, because it's going to be a doozy. Buckle up, because I'm going to cook. I'm going to cook. I don't even want to put this picture up there, but it is what it is. I'm going to sit here for a second and let you soak this in. And it is not clickbait. It is what it is. It is true. God, help me, Jesus, get through this without losing my canoodle. As the church attendance declines across the West, the Vatican is hosting over 1,000, not one, not two, not three, but 1,000 priests and farers in Rome. So basically they're doing a convention of content creators that are priests at the Vatican. God bless America. So you have this one guy named Father Cosimo Shaskia, whatever this weirdo's name is. He's an Italy's poet of God's love. Basically just like this really hot, subjective as that may be, father, priest. He has over 450,000 followers amassed on his social media journey. He shares spiritual poetry and pet posts that resonate emotionally. But he's hot. He got 450,000 followers because he's hot. Because, as I recall, Jesus, being as amazing as he is, was not a looker. Built like a brick house, because he was a carpenter. You know, back then in the biblical times, you followed suit what your father did. He was a carpenter, so he was ripped, but he was not a visibly beautiful man. And they have several others. I'm just going to skip right past that and get down to the nitty gritty, what I want to get to. This is why I call the Catholic Church a church of demons and devils. I said it. They are not Christian as they proclaim. Peter did not create the Catholic Church. You have one verse that you run off of. Upon this rock I will build my kingdom, build my church. The church is the ecclesia. It is the people, not a building or an organization that makes millions and billions and trillions of dollars a year. The Vatican is known, or the Holy See rather, is known as the richest country on the planet. How did you get countryship? By the way, the Vatican has walls. For those that don't like walls, that don't like deportation, that don't like free in and out, the Vatican has walls. The Holy See is known as the richest country on the planet. 1 Samuel 16:7. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance. That means the way a man looks, or his height, or his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord sees not as a man sees. For a man looks outwardly. Oh, I'm so beautiful. God looks at the heart. That's strike one, Catholic Church. Man, I had fun looking up the verses for this because there's a lot of them, and I knew most of them, but there's a lot. I'm not gonna have church here for you guys, but we're gonna go through a couple of verses before I get to what I really want to say. Matthew 28 or 5:28. My bad. But I say unto you that whosoever looks upon a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her in his heart. That's strike two, Catholic Church, because you're getting these sexy men. That verse goes both ways. I know they're talking about women, but it goes towards men too. 2 Timothy 2:22. Flee also youthful lust. Because the whole purpose of this whole thing, I'm going to finish the verse, but the whole purpose of this whole thing was to get Generation Z into the church. This is called seeker sensitive, guys, which is a heresy. The Bible says, Jesus says, go out and make disciples, not seek disciples. The whole purpose of seeking disciples or seeking to fill the church is to fill the coffers, to make sure when you pass that collection plate around, you get the money. But you guys aren't actually going out and making disciples. That's actually what the money's meant for, is to take care of the community of the areas that the churches are planted, and then to send out disciples so that they can go make other disciples. You're not doing that. 2 Timothy 2:22, flee youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with all them that call on the Lord out of pure heart. Is having the sexy priest pure-hearted? What are we doing? Oh, I got one more verse. Oh, this verse right here. This one right here. This is the one that punches you in the throat, Catholic Church. Strike 4 if 3 weren't enough for you. Dearly beloved, this comes out of 1 Peter 2:11. I beseech you, meaning I'm begging, I'm calling upon you. I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims. Abstain. What is abstinence? Abstinence means never to get to that point. Celibacy is when you actually do the damn thing. Abstinence means you never got to the point. Abstain from fleshly lust, which war against the soul. Bro, you're purposely seeking out sexy priests and pharaohs to pull Generation Z in. Now, unless they're of the proclivity of homosexuality, I don't think you're going to find very many men that come to the church because of sexy men. I'm reading heartfelt poetry, but I'm flexing in my muscle shirt with the little cuff around my neck. Hold on, give me a second. Let me find a picture of this guy. Hold on, I got to do this. I know this is off track here, but let me put a picture of this guy up so you guys can find the gravity in what I'm saying, the gravitas. Because this guy, no homo, no diddy, is a very good-looking fella. Let me grab this picture of this guy. Just give me a second, guys. Please bear with me. Let's grab the picture. Whew, he's a beautiful man, as some would say. Let me grab this picture. Oh, goodness me. Let's save this picture. Ooh. Lord help me. This is crazy. And now let me grab this picture and put it in here for you guys so you can see it. Oh. Now, don't y'all be getting all hot and bothered at this picture of this guy. I know that's what y'all do sometimes. So let's go ahead and make that big. That is a good-looking guy. That is a good-looking guy. That is a good-looking guy. He's in a muscle shirt. That is a muscle shirt. Why are you in a muscle shirt? We are supposed to be modest. There were 17 verses I could have picked out about modesty. And he's looking very seductive. He knows what he's doing. He knows women love the salt and pepper. And you're purposely picking gorgeous men to seek out Generation Z, which we know it's going to be women. Bro, dearly beloved, 1 Peter 2:11, I beseech you, as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lust, which war against the soul. You're purposely finding hot guys, purposely seeking out hot guys, hot priests with big followings on the internet. How they got them, we know, because guys, let's be realistic. Being Christian is not popular. Reading the Bible is not popular. Praying is not popular. Worshiping Jesus is not popular. Getting on your knees and praying is not popular. It's not popular to be a Christian. So how did you get 450,000 followers? How did the other one have 1.1 million followers? Jesus came to this earth and they crucified him. He wasn't even able to preach in his own hometown. But you got 450,000, 1.1 million? What are you doing? I digress. Because I could go on about this. I digress. If you rely on body shots and viral hashtags to attract souls, maybe the issue isn't outreach, it's content. Are these followers that are following these people embracing the faith, or are they embracing the body and following the look? I implore you to go look up this article about the hot priest going to the Vatican. Bro, every single last one of them dudes looked like they came off of a runway and were put in muscle shirts. They might as well have just had these guys completely topless with some board shorts that showed their junk. It's no different. Man. I had other things I wanted to say on that, but I'm going to just let it go. And we'll get to our verse of the day. Why do heathens rage? This comes out of Psalms 2, 1-3. And the people imagine a vain thing. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Thank you guys for joining me today. And make sure you aren't one to miss the forest for the trees.